Okay, so I've just opened up a brand new backtesting algorithm IDE or the IDE or the algorithm here. And what we're gonna do here is just run the backtest over the period that we looked at just now, which is December 1st, 2013 to December 1st, 2014. But before we do that, we need to actually modify this algorithm to suit what we actually did earlier. Okay, in the IDE, I've set up a new one, and I'm going to walk through this with you line by line so that you understand what actually took place here. In the IDE, what we did is actually we import a few things. We imported the so-called pipeline. Okay. We're going to run pipeline. We're also going to, in the algorithm itself, we have attach pipeline and pipeline output. And we're going to import the Q1500 that we, US stocks that we're looking at, and also stock tweets as well. And the other two things that other couple of things that we want to import is the so-called, we don't want to trade around the business days, the so-called earnings announcement dates. We don't want to trade those that's acquisition target, and also we want to make sure that there are some data that came through so that we can actually we will execute trades when there are some signals. So let's start with this first function here that we have defined. Define initialize context. This is actually the standard so-called functions in Quantopian IDE. Basically, this is the initialization. During the initialization of the algorithm itself, it will run this. At the start of the algorithm, we set two schedule functions. The first one is run my balance every day. The date rules is every day run my balance 1 hour after the market open. And the other thing is we schedule another function called my record variables. I run it again every day and when the market closes. So this is to record the so-called variable itself. This is actually to run our algo. The function that actually contains all of these is under my rebalance. And basically we attach the pipeline into, basically we run the make pipeline and attach it into the pipeline itself. And for now, we want to see if the actual so-called signal that comes through from Psychsignal does have an alpha factor in them or can generate abnormal returns. So we set the commission to 0 and then we build it from there after. Right, looking at the make pipe, let me just see. So we want to look at the stock tweets, bull minus bears. Okay, so we just want to delete this comments. Let me copy across what we did earlier from the notebook. So we don't want it to be near announcements. We do want it to have new information come through. We don't want to trade stocks that is being an acquisition target. We want to trade stocks that's within the Q1500 universe. Sentiment factors not now. These are the three new things, and delete this one. And okay, so we want to all right, okay. We want to actually store the sentiment quantiles. Sentiment factor is what we calculated from the actual from the stock tweets, basically from Psychsignal. It comes through via bulls minus bear. We store that in the sentiment factor, and the sentiment factor we want to rank them, mask using the universe. So basically, based looking at these stocks, we just rank them and split them into two quantiles, and all of these we store it into the variable called sentiment quantiles. And after that, we store this with and provide a column label called sentiment. But there's something else that I want to explain here. This is what I tell the stocks. So this description is incorrect. Okay, I want to look at trading stocks where the sentiment factor short those that's under 2, -2, and long those that is greater than 3. Why is that? Let me just pull this notebook that I used earlier. If you look at this, earlier when we plot the distribution, of course this is the distribution of everything. So -3 is really very minus. I think we are looking at, what are we looking at? We're looking at -2. So we're looking at -2 and also 3 and above. Okay, so this is, I don't want to actually pick up too many of these because from 2 onwards, clearly it's actually going to represent a lot more. And from 2 below, let's just do this. So if we take the bull minus bear and those that's less than -2, and we just want to look at the length, see how many stocks. Okay, 386. So if we look at those that's greater than 2, it's rather uneven. Okay, so that's what I really don't want. So that's why I use 3. Okay, maybe I should use a slightly different figure. Let's just say 2.5. Okay, that's much better. So there's a bit of playing around just to actually get a gauge of it. So I'm going to change this to 2.5. Okay, so the sentiment factors, that when it's less than 2, we short those stocks. When it's more than 2.5, we long those. Okay, so and we store all of these into the pipeline itself. Okay, and label it shorts and long and screen this universe here. Okay, so let's move on from that and let's look at another function here. So this is before trading starts. So this is before the market opens every day. We run the pipeline output and we store that into this context security list here. And this is basically what is generated using make pipeline here. Okay, my rebalance, remember in the so-called this initialize here, we have a schedule function. We run my rebalance an hour after the market open. Okay, so what does my rebalance do? So let's just look at this specifically. We look at the long securities. Okay, and we set a weight of 1 divided by however number of long security there is. So basically we evenly distribute the weight, or rather have equal weights if it's except is 0. So try this. Okay, if the long security is actually 0, you're gonna get a division by 0, which gives you an error. So that's why there's a try and except there. For the shorts, do likewise. So this 3 lines of code basically for the open long position. So basically a for loop here for all of the so-called long securities in here. For every security, if it's tradable, if you can trade this, order target percentage, the actual security, and the long weight is what we calculate here. So repeat the same for the short and close positions that are no longer in our pipeline. So if we have stocks, for example, carry forward from the day before, and because we run this rebalance every day, you don't want those positions that's open stay open. Okay, so you want to close them off. That's really what this line says. So if the security in context of the position, so basically right now in our portfolio we have the positions, so we basically look at this. Can it trade? And it's not in either the long security or the short security, then we set a target percentage of 0. Basically close it off, really. And this is the record variable that we will run at the end of the day when the market closes. So we want to record the amount, the number of long and the number of shorts, and also the leverage that's being applied. So let's just build the algorithm and just to test whether there's any errors in the actual code itself before we run a fullback test for that period. I might speed up the so-called video, this portion, because it can take a wee while to run this, but I won't cut it. I'm just going to run it so that you can actually see everything. Okay, right. Finally, the backtest is finished. So this is just really to build the algorithm. You don't actually have to wait that long. You could actually just stop it after it's run for a wee while. I wanted to make sure that it runs and there's no errors in it. So as we run through this, you can see the leverage generally is around 2. The number of longs and shorts vary and fluctuates between 32, 30. So basically it caps there at roughly about 95 shorts. So what I am going to do now is run this as a fullback test so that we can actually analyze this further using another of Quantopian's API called PyFolio. Okay, I might speed up this video once again during this period when it runs the backtest for the period. Okay, the full backtest is now finished. I won't go through these figures. I will actually go through the PyFolio figures rather than through this. Although you can actually glean a lot for just looking at the actual statistics that's being churned out. The total returns is actually quite impressive. It kept up with the benchmark. The alpha is very good. In fact, it's very, very good. The beta is basically saying that it's almost, it's basically unrelated to the benchmark or the SPY itself. Sharp is very good. Swordno is also very, very good. The volatility is very low. And the maximum drawdown is also very impressive of 3.2. So you can actually drill in further, look at the actual transactions itself, the daily profit and loss, whatever the so-called outputs are, the returns, monthly returns, the benchmark returns, the alpha itself on a monthly basis, or rolling 3 months or 6 months, the beta, the sharp, the Swordno, volatility, the benchmark volatility, and finally the actual maximum drawdown. If you look at the benchmark volatility, 12 months is actually 10.8%. If you look at the volatility of this, it's 6.9. So it's vastly lower in terms of the volatility when compared to the actual benchmark itself. So having done that, what we are going to do now is open up another so-called notebook, and I'm gonna run through the Pi folio with you, so that you can actually see how that actually works. So let me open up a new notebook.